Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another podcast. Kind of getting back in the swing of things. The current pandemic is really hindering this, but so when we get a podcast, we're really excited about it. So back again, it's me, Danny.
I'm Rob, and I'm going to introduce this is Scott McDonald. He's one of our vets that's going to come in and talk today for Veteran Spotlight.
Yeah, awesome. So, well, let's just start off from the beginning. What branch were you in?
Navy.
Oh.
It's going to be a long one, guys. Hang in there.
Oh, come on. You guys enjoyed it. We gave you rides.
Absolutely. You guys are the best Uber drivers in the world.
Right.
Absolutely.
I know. Should have.
And you didn't charge us for it. So it's even better, and I was always good with that.
No, I have nightmares of being on ship. I paid for it.
I like being on ships sometimes. It's just all dependent on what kind of deployment it is.
Well, you're like 5 feet tall. Of course you enjoy it.
See, and that's why. I mean, I don't have to worry about ducking.
I hit my head on everything.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
See, and that's where we'd put bets down. Who's going to go down first?
Yeah.
Right?
That explains a lot why I can't remember stuff. What are we doing?
Yeah, right. Exactly. You said Navy in what
1990.
1990. So
Yep.
talk us through that. That was the whole basic boot camp experience for you.
Considering I grew up here in Nampa,
Sorry to hear that, by the way.
Yeah. So I grew up here in Nampa, small town, and yeah, I'll never forget. I got to the airport, landed in San Diego.
Nice.
You know, the movies where there's somebody yelling and screaming at you and all that. No, that's just the Marine Corps side, not the Navy side.
That's true.
Absolutely.
It's because the planes are flying by. So they have to yell in order for us to hear them.
Yeah, you got to yell at the planes. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. We yell at the planes too.
Yeah.
But, pulling into the RTC there and then started getting yelled at and everything else. And I'm thinking I'm going to go to bed and be able to sleep. I don't think I went to bed until about 3, and they woke us up at 4:35 when there was the trash cans.
You can start to give me flashbacks.
Yeah, just a taste of it.
Yeah. Next morning I wondered what I was doing. Nice. I was like, okay, this is, what did I just do? I'm going to wake up from this nightmare. What? So it was interesting.
That is interesting. So where they send you guys, so RTC is where?
So at that time I went to San Diego.
Okay.
You had, again, at that time, you had San Diego, Great Lakes, and
right.
Florida.
Oh, okay. So they had 3 locations?
We had 3 locations.
Okay. I don't know much about the Navy, so I'm learning today. This is a new learning experience for me. I didn't know they did San Diego too.
Very informative, yeah.
I'm
not sure if they do it still currently.
No. They shut down the RTC in San Diego.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
It was right next door to the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And then they shut down Florida. And Florida at that time was the only one that was unisex, or not
unisex, mixed.
The mix. They had the male and the female.
Right.
Integrated.
Integrated.
There you go.
Yes, thank you.
Word right there.
Boy, it'd be a long interview.
Well, I think everybody's integrated now. The Marine Corps just went integrated, which is insane.
They're starting to. Well, I think they only talked about it. I'm not sure if they're actually.
No, they actually started
100% in San Diego.
I don't know about San Diego. We're still trying to figure out locations, but yeah, they are actually doing it though.
I mean, that's the only place the Marine Corps could be integrated. Parris Island is integrated.
To an extent. No. Because you remember they're still separated.
You're
talking about actually. They're actually looking.
They train together.
Yeah, but actually putting them together now. Yeah, it's different floors in the same barracks.
Pregnancy will surge.
Yes. Something's going to go.
Absolutely will.
I'm interested to see how this goes. So we'll see. Now that we're actually doing that, it's completely different from our ethos. Though. But yeah, you guys.
So yeah. In fact, while I was in boot camp, we had a guy thought he was going to run away and escape the Navy, and he ended up in the Marine Corps side.
Oh boy.
No, he messed up there, didn't he?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And my company commander. He's like, oh, yeah, keep them. Sort of kind of like you see the movies where people kiss the ground after an airplane lands and all that. Right. He was kissing the ground on the Navy side. He's like, hallelujah.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, he probably figured that out pretty quick. Like, okay, I messed up.
Oh, yeah. Well, and seeing it was interesting because the galley for the boot camp for the Marines had broke down. So they were coming over to San Diego, our side. For it, and I'll never forget, I had a Marine coming out same time I was, and all of a sudden I hear drop, and I watch a Marine literally land on his hands from a stand-up position, start doing push-ups, and they're yelling at him about his cover, and as I'm fixing mine, going, "Oh, that sucks," and I'm just like, "Wow."
Right. So, it's funny because so earlier we were just kind of chatting before we started this, and we were talking about liquid soap and picking that up. So I literally, when I was at boot camp, we had one guy. So after we're done eating, you normally go outside and you form it up. Well, this guy went out and he spit on the floor, like on the ground, on the sidewalk.
Oh, boy.
And a drill instructor saw him do it. And I literally never heard this before, but he was like, pick that up and put it in your pocket. So when you said that, it reminded me. And the guy's literally trying to pick up the liquid snot. Oh, it's so gross, man. Just trying to pick up the loogie and put it in his pocket. It was disgusting, man. I guess he rubbed it in like a little dirt or something, got it in there. But, man, it was just, appalling. But, yeah, you reminded me of that when we had this conversation earlier. But
the stuff you see in boot camp with stuff like that is horrendous.
Oh, yeah.
We were in formation. This guy peed himself.
Oh, yeah.
Because he didn't even ask for permission to go to the bathroom. He just was like, well, I gotta go. And then we all school circled up, and there was like a wet spot on the ground. And my drill instructor, such a great guy. My senior drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Pond. When I went to boot camp the first time, he was my kill hat. Then he turned into my senior drill instructor, and such a cool guy. Like, I learned so much about boot camp the second time because
he's your green belt or your senior? Not your senior, but your green belt. Your senior, what is the senior guy?
Yeah, he was my kill hat the first time, my green belt. Yeah. And then my second time he was my senior.
Senior, okay.
Yeah. And he was just like, who pissed themselves? Like, we're all in school circled. He's like, don't make me put you back in formation. Who pissed yourself? He's like, look, all you have to do is ask. It's like, you didn't even ask. You know, like, you're all grown ass men here. You signed the contract, you became a grown ass man. Who pissed himself? Nobody said anything. He's all right, back in formation. And he walked up, and he walked up to the recruit and was like, he's like, I couldn't exactly hear what he said, but all I heard, I just heard, how,
I think it's more like, you're gonna die.
Oh, it was something like that. But he was just like, he told him whatever, and then he went to our kill hat, who, oh man, he was like a little vicious
Hey, go see my
dog.
friend. Go see my friend down
He's
there.
like, go take him to the pit.
And kill him.
Then take him to the shower, get him changed, then take him back to the pit, and then bring him back here.
Yep.
So
Just like a sugar cookie when he comes back.
he IT'd him in his pissy camis, and then made him go take a shower by the numbers in the middle of the day. And then, he had to get fresh camis.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You can't leave a recruit in their piss.
You took a shower.
Yeah, and then he put him in fresh camis, then took him back to the pit, and then brought him to the class that we were in.
Nice.
Yeah, the shit you see in boot camp is very disturbing.
Oh, yeah.
Is
Scar
it
you
ever?
for life. Right?
And it's funny because I was just having a conversation with one of my coworkers today because he's having an issue talking with people, and they're like, "Oh, we understand." And he's like, "I don't think you do."
Yeah.
And he was talking to me. I'm like, "Yeah, no one understands."
Yeah,
no one understands
unless you've been through it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So as veterans, you can say a story, we'll all get it.
Oh,
yeah.
But it's funny because we both stream, and when I actually was talking last week, I was talking to people, and they're like, "What?" They were like, "Wow, that really happens?" Yeah. So so they don't get it. It's absolutely true, but
yeah,
wow, crazy.
We just talked about that in our last video we released, the suicide awareness video.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We just literally talked for like an hour and a half about how we get it, people, vets get it, but when you break that to a civilian, it's very hard to be on the same wavelength.
On our stuff. But some of the stuff that there's some stuff to say. We don't
some
do
stuff
that
is common.
Conversation. They can watch. You guys watch that video if you want to check that one out, so that we don't take away from Scott's time.
But anyways, sorry.
Hey, no worries, because it just happens. Right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So, how long are you guys' boot camp or basic when you went?
What is it? I think it's 8 weeks. It was 8 weeks, and then so everybody says they hate car salesmen. Go walk into a recruiting office.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. Absolutely.
They promise you the world. So here I was thinking I'm gonna go from job to job.
We're gonna give you Colonel right out of boot camp.
Yeah.
Colonel, sweet.
Yeah. But I thought I was gonna go from job to job to job, find the one I love and everything else. But my company commander, I guess your guys' drill sergeant, he was a bosun mate, and he asked us who's all undesignated, and we have 3 departments. Airman, seaman, and engineer. Yes. So there we go.
All right.
And a bunch of us that were undesignated raised our hands. He goes, "How many are seamen?" There we go. There's the snicker. Raised our hand again. He goes, how many were told you're going to go from job to job? Not one hand drop. And he's like, I'm a bosun mate. Are we allowed to cuss?
Right.
Absolutely. He's like, you're my little bitch.
Yeah.
He goes, that's all you're going to be. And I weighed a $1.10 soaking wet. So I lived on the side of the ship when I first got to my first ship. I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
So
you couldn't go outside because you might blow off the deck. Kind of thing.
well, no, they had me tied to a bosun chair with a paint roller and a brush and that 5-gallon bucket right beside me. So
that's rough.
Yeah.
But you know, the funny thing is, like, everybody, when you're first in the Navy, because I mean, when I was on a ship at least 3 times, and I remember anytime they call, you know, for cleaning and stuff like that, everybody's out there cleaning, regardless of I think you're up to your E6s and stuff, right?
Well, it depended. So as a bosun mate at that time frame, once you became a designated E3, you were in a sense like an E4.
Right.
And then if you were an E4, you were like in a sense of an E5. Because, I mean, if you saw the E6, which is a first class, or the chief come out, you knew heads were rolling.
Oh, yeah. Especially the chief, man, because usually, they, you know, even though they don't give much credit to the first classes, but, you know, the chief comes out, you know, something went bad.
Well, their fingers crooked for a reason. That's that coffee cup never leaves.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
If there's any chiefs watching, they know what I'm saying. They're probably getting mad, like, oh, why is he telling it this way?
With his crooked finger?
with that same coffee cup that's got the black stains that have never been washed. Because if you wash their cups, again, somebody's head's rolling. You don't touch them. So
Right. I think I think some infantry guys are like that too. So I'm not. I mean, especially gunnies. When you're talking gunnies, I mean, obviously I was one, but I did have a couple cohorts that would not wash their cup. It was disgusting, man. I think I saw one with like growing stuff in the bottom of it, and it was like, dude, you sure you want me to wash that cup? I mean,
it's flavor.
Apparently penicillin is good for you, so I mean, it might help them with the sickness or something.
Right.
Craziness.
The weirdest is when you see gunnies in the field with their coffee cup from their office.
Oh yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, I'm not gonna ask you that question, but why do you have like? Why do you have your coffee cup with you?
So here's the cool part about being a gunny. So in the morning, if they're going to have hot chow, you go back with the driver. So when you go back with the driver, if you get your coffee cup, you fill that up, and it's a totally different batch from the one that's inside the...
No, it's not.
Cravat.
It's not.
Well, no, it's just hotter.
No, you just feel special. Trust me. Those mornings...
Cooks, I hate the cooks. Why, don't ruin it for me.
Those mornings when you get up and,
I'm not saying it's different. I'm saying it's not from the cravat. It's from I used to get mine from the chow hall.
Yeah, sure.
But I'm just saying it's not the that's a special.
We make a special blend.
I know it's the same
for
stuff.
the staff NCOs.
You hear this guy? I know. It's just
for the staff NCOs.
You go back. Yeah, well, you go back.
Okay.
You already have coffee. And
I
then
can't
you
confirm or deny that.
Go get more coffee later, so it's nice. So anyway, so boatswain's mate, and that what mostly boatswain's mate do is they.
So we take care of the ship. Boatswain mate's the oldest rate in the Navy. Mm-hmm. It's where everybody's come from.
Right.
We are the jack of all trades. So we clean the ship. We drive small boats. We do a lot of different things. I've filled in on guns and everything else if I had to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yes, we are known for the painting. And we're also known for the ones that are probably arrested the most, besides the engineers that never got to come out of the pits, because we enjoyed our alcohol and our parties.
Right. Well, I had a guy in a closet for so many long. I can see like those engineers are having some issues coming out.
Well, they and that's why the stories of vampires come out. They're like, oh, what's this? Oh, sunlight. Oh.
Right? Yeah, Danny's beard coming out. Like, you're like, hey man, you need to shave that. He's been down there for like 6 months. So yeah, I get it. Yeah. That's awesome. In terms of the Navy, so sweet.
Yeah, except it's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, it's like the infantry, but you're not shooting, because we do. That's all. When an infantry's not doing stuff, we're just cleaning. So there's not much difference between really in that. So we're kind of like boatswain's mate, but then we at least get the privilege of shooting all the time.
Yeah. Well, see, like I said, it wasn't what I wanted to do. Recruiter lied to me. Go figure.
Oh man.
And I hated it. I hated the Navy. I wanted out.
What'd you want to be though?
Anything but boatswain mate. I mean,
Fair enough.
Well, no, my grandfather was Navy. He was a gunner's mate, World War II. He lied. He was underage. He was over there during the bombing. had a hangover, thought it was just his head from too much partying. My uncle was Navy. He was an airman. He was actually an aviation bosun mate. Mm-hmm. So he was on a carrier, so I knew of certain things here and there, but I wanted something that I could do when I got out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. You know.
Well, of course, I think that most people should be trying to do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And being a bosun mate, painting a ship, or shining brass, or sweeping in the rain for the standing water. I mean, really? It's still raining, and I got to sweep.
Yeah.
So.
Been there and done that.
Yeah. I had an attitude. Mm. I wouldn't cut my hair, stuff like that, but I had a chief give me extra training.
Oh, okay.
Took me into a locker room.
We call that EMI, right? On our end? Extra military instruction?
Yes.
I like that.
So,
except for now, instead of the actual real term for it.
Right.
They showed you a different way of training.
Back in the 90s, I believe we called it wall-to-wall counseling.
I mean, it's still called... I mean, it's still... It has many different names.
Yeah, but they don't practice it as much.
Well, and the way to get around that is, because some people who don't like it call it hazing. Right. By people who...
Well, yeah, hazing changed. Yeah, hazing changed everything.
To get around that kind of stuff, what they do is they do it with you.
They used to. Now and then they got past that because that started causing problems because you had... It pretty much, we're now, everything's by the book. Like, it's all paper. Everything pushes paper. This is why I was like, I'm ready to retire. Because it got to the point where everything had to be counseling, documented, and
you ruin people's careers by doing that.
Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And that was the problem I see at the military. I mean, look at the military way it's going nowadays. It's just different, and I guess they're going to adapt to it. But
instead of picking up cigarette butts, it's like, here's a counseling sheet, and you get
right. Absolutely, and that's what it's going to, and it's
sad.
I mean, yeah, it does kind of suck. I mean, I'm kind of saddened with how everything's going right now in the Corps, but, let's get back to the Navy, dude. So, because, I mean, we brought Scott here to tell us about his time.
Yeah.
No, you're fine, because I'm with you on that. I mean, when he took me down there, I'm 18 years old. I'm a punk. Right? He's...
Yeah.
As old as dirt. I'm gonna whoop this guy because I knew what I was going in for. Like I said, I grew up Navy. I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, I got this guy. Mm-hmm. He's like, go ahead, go down the ladder first. And I was always taught there's no such thing as a fair fight. Mm-hmm. So I found a little dogging wrench, what we call dogging wrench. You guys know is a metal pipe.
Mm-hmm. I like this guy already.
Mm-hmm. Grab it, put it behind my back, and I'm like, come on down, old man. You're fat. Let's get this going.
Damn.
And I told you I was a punk. And he looked down. He's standing on the ladder, leaned up against the hatch, and he's like, "You ready for this?" I'm like, "Let's go." And all of a sudden, he just let go.
Oh, nice.
And next thing I know, I've got this big man on the back of my back. I'm falling into the ladder as I'm coming off. I had no idea he had so many punches in on me, and I just went down. And I was like. Wow.
Was this like WWE? Like just like straight off the top ropes?
Pretty much. Wow. I mean, I was like, okay. And next thing I know, he's asking if I'm going to cut my hair because that's what it was over. That my attitude. And I told him to kiss off, and he saw my bleeding. And he said, go up to medical. Mm-hmm. I was like, all right, I'll go to medical.
Yeah.
I went up, and they were trying to figure out what happened. I said I fell.
Right.
And they're like, where'd you fall? And I said, well, I fell from this bosun locker to this bosun locker. And they're like, are you sure?
I fell on a chief.
But, it was funny because I'd come down to the office after getting my stitches and stuff. And he's like, so what'd you tell him? I said, I fell. And he's filling out my report. And he goes, well, where'd you fall? And I said, from bosun 1 to bosun 2. And he looked at me and he goes, this is your chance to get out. He goes, and you get me in trouble. And I was like, I'm not trying to get anybody in trouble. I just want out of your Navy. This is your Navy, not mine.
Yeah. Right.
And he goes, but you can get out and you can get me in trouble. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And he goes, so you fell? And I said, yeah. And he goes, and at that time we were able to drink on base if we were 18.
Yeah.
Beer, but...
I remember those days.
Weren't they, though? And he's like, well, come on, let's go get a beer. And after that, he taught me everything I knew, and I fell in love with being a bosun mate, and I didn't want to do anything other than that.
You kind of liked it after that?
I
Dude,
did.
That's hilarious, man.
just because you were in the Navy, I thought you said you fell in love with him. Like, that's where I thought the story was going. I was like,
man.
I was about to be like, oh my God. Like,
only out at sea, but we don't talk about that. No, I'm kidding.
Like, Chief, can we go watch Officer and a Gentleman together?
yeah, that's okay. I'll edit that part out.
Yeah, let's not go that route. I mean,
Yeah. No, a buddy of mine was on subs, and I used to tease him all the time. 100 men would go down, 50 couples come up.
Yeah. Now that's not a joke.
Yeah.
Even though they do have some females on subs, but there's still some crazy. I'm just teasing, guys. It's all good. We joke with our sister services. And, trust me, I don't think I've had a day I haven't heard a crayon joke yet.
Well, now,
Oh boy.
you said you were in San Diego, right?
I was boot camp San Diego.
So, and where were you?
San Diego as well.
So how many times did you guys go over the amphibious base? Go to the bar there, or even 32nd Street? What was the bar there?
I used to go 32nd. I went to 32nd Street a few times. Yeah, that's back in the day though.
Yeah, but I remember my buddies and I were in there, 32nd Street, and that carried over to amphibious base the next night, and a bunch of Marines and us were going at it, just having a good old time. But now when we went to the amphibious base, some other guys jumped in, and those Marines were side by side with us. So yeah, we give each other a hard time, but
yeah, absolutely.
Don't pick on you.
Someone else jumps into that mess. It's game on.
Absolutely.
Well, it's funny because you bring that up. Well, see, remember I came in the same time, in the same era.
Right.
So 94 at 18, I was drinking. So I didn't have to go all the way down to 32nd Street. I would just go. All the places that are now education centers on Camp Pendleton, every single one of those used to be the E Club.
A different education center.
Yes, it was a different kind. Well, I'll tell you what, man. It was like fights every night. That's why it ended up getting shut down eventually. But we always fighting each other.
Well, see, and that's the sad part, because when I went to boot camp and graduating, most of the people that came to see us graduate and everything else, they wanted to go get pictures for all the plaques that were hung up where Top Gun was filmed at.
Oh yeah, of
I mean, when he did that song to what's her name,
the Righteous Brothers.
There's the plaque right there, and it's like, really. Come on.
You heard about that? You heard that building burned down, right?
Yes.
Sucks. They rebuilt. I guess they rebuilt it, but it's not gonna be the same after that. The bar burned down, and then I guess they rebuilt the bar, and then of course the house. I think they moved it. It used to be downtown Oceanside.
Really?
Right down the one crazy looking street that you see in the movie. But yeah, I guess someone bought the house, but they moved the whole house.
Wow.
Because you don't want to destroy the Top Gun house, I guess. But yeah, no, it's crazy you bring that up. But I was just remembering, I remember reading about that. Yeah, the bar burned down, the house got moved. It was some craziness.
Well, because they tore down San Diego. They tore it down to make low-income housing or something like that with our old barracks. Feel bad for anybody who lives in there.
Right. So in your story of what you're saying, so you started out, I'm going to take it this was in the first year, 4 years, decided that you liked being a boatswain's mate? Is that this?
That was within my first year.
The first year?
First year.
Oh, wow.
First year.
First year from graduating?
From
or after graduation?
After boot camp.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
So, because I graduated. Yeah, I graduated.
That's a lot real quick.
Right?
Well, I graduated in June. I didn't leave until August. I was delayed entry. And actually, and it's funny. You guys are here in Idaho. I was driving down the boulevard. My mom and dad said as soon as I was 18, I was supposed to be out of the house.
Right.
Going down the boulevard, I happened to see the recruiting station, and I'm like, I don't want to go to college. I'll stop in here. And that's why I said, promise me the world.
Word. That was my famous last words, too. I don't want to go to college.
Yeah, so...
I was already in college.
Really?
I was in college working 2 jobs, and I was like, there's got to be something easier than this.
Right.
Joined the Marine Corps, and I was like, I'm fucking wrong.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Like, well, I guess it's worth it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely worth it, but easier? Absolutely.
Definitely not easier.
No,
well, see, and what's funny is I would do it again in a heartbeat to some extent. To some extent.
I think I'd go back. I mean, because now here's the thing: is you got to, like, you would have stayed in. I would have gone longer if they would have let me. But at the same time, I don't know. I'm kind of, I think as much, even though I miss it, because I just miss this part. This right here is what I miss. I miss the camaraderie, hanging out with other service members.
Yeah,
that's why you got to join places like the VFW and stuff, because you don't, or the American Legion or something that a veteran organization, something that you can get something that you can't get from anybody else.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so
definitely.
I think that's one of those things that that's what I missed.
I miss the brotherhood.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'll say the sisterhood, but it doesn't matter because it's the same thing. We're all,
but
well, the newer military, I don't think I can get behind. I don't. Nowadays, it's more. Who are you? Leave me alone.
Well, a lot of it too is generational. Like, I still support the younger guys. It's just I can't relate to them the same thing because they're going through something completely different. I mean, if I look at it like what you went through back in the '90s, I can relate to because we were around the same area. But when you got the same area, but like
I can't.
Well, some of the new guys. I was
five in the '90s.
I'm just saying your experience-wise, man. And the guys now that are going in. So we interviewed a guy who's leaving probably the next couple of days.
Yeah, a few days. Yeah.
But he, I, like right now, I can't really relate to him. But there's going to be still that brotherhood sense. It's just I can't relate to all his experiences because they're going to be a little different.
Absolutely.
Experiences may differ in terms of our eras.
And see, I would agree. Their experiences are quite a bit different. I mean, you look at it. My first ship was an all-male ship.
Right.
Then we were integrated right after Tailhook.
Yeah.
Talk about interesting and the training and everything else that we went through. But what I find is odd is at the same time we had females pose. We had an aviation lady pose for Playboy. She got booted.
Yeah, what's her name?
March 1993. But
I'm making a joke, by the way. So.
But now if you look at some of the females on Instagram, look at what they're posting on Instagram.
Oh, dude.
And they're still wearing the uniform. And they wear the uniform at the same time. Well, and it allows it.
There's some. There are people on our side, they're cracking down on that. Yeah, they crack down on it. Like there's a couple that...
People got NJP'd and are in the brig for doing stuff like that. Well,
on our side. I don't know about everybody.
Yeah, the Marine Corps side. They were cracking down on it because there were some females who were very scandalous and sent out pictures to people. Then they started getting a bad rap, and then they tried to play innocent.
I think the Air Force had the same issue too.
And people went to the brig for it, and it ruined their career. But yet they were, kind of victims in it,
See, well, like I said, it's just interesting because I mean, we've all had our time frames of certain things happening. Absolutely. I mean,
well, I like to say it's funny because you say this. The only difference between us and them, we didn't get caught. We didn't have the technology to put all our stuff out there.
Exactly.
So, but we were doing the same dumb crap. I mean, really to think about it. It's just that we weren't going, hey, hold my beer. And the next thing you know, Danny's pulling his phone out, recording me. I mean, there was none of that back then. There was no cell phone back then. So.
Well, it's just like I was showing you the picture of my second crossing the line, where I got to do the hazing. That was from an actual camera. I had to scan the picture to put on my Facebook,
Right.
So yeah, you're right. We
was
didn't
it
have
Facebook? MySpace. So
no, I didn't even do it MySpace. I didn't get into it, but we did get caught.
Right. Yeah. See, that's the thing is like so nowadays people are getting caught all the time because they're putting it all on their social media. But I never got caught for the stuff I did, and I was doing. There was some dumb stuff, but I mean. I can't say it was any different. If they would have caught me doing it, I probably would have gotten busted down or same idea. I just think that it's harder for them nowadays when you really think about it because it's just way too easy to do something dumb, and get caught doing it.
It is.
And then, of course, we just talked about the whole paperwork thing because they're all about doing paperwork and just going, nah, too bad, man, just roll. Well, we don't need you.
I kind of feel like, like when the difference between, back in the day, now I sound like, bro, it's been going on for like 5 minutes. I don't know what that is. Yeah. But, but the difference between, the 90s and then like now is there's that you could get away with stuff because people were like, we have a problem, we'll settle it. Now it's like, we have a problem, I'm going to bring somebody else in, and they're going to be on my side too.
But the internet never realistically... My buddy here does internet stuff. So the internet didn't officially kick off until about 96. And then again, it was very limited back then. So we didn't have anything like we do now, which I think is a huge...
Well, I just think it's a different in like... because, I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard it, snitches get stitches.
Yes.
Right.
That just doesn't fly anymore.
No.
Like, and I think that's where the big issue is because, back in the day... if you had a problem, you would fight.
Yeah.
You would solve it. Now you can't do that.
Well,
Right.
Because somebody will get beat up, and then they'll be butthurt about it, and then that's where it draws the line.
Well, a lot of times too. Let me interject, because being the high-ranking guy I was. I mean, a lot of the times too, commands, what they'll do is, so say two guys get into a fight, well, they burn both guys regardless.
right.
And it's not, whether it could be complete self-defense in one way and whatever, but because the commands are so they're protecting themselves.
Yeah.
They will automatically go, nah, just take care, get them both.
I mean,
so there's no point.
I kind of disagree with, because my entire unit my entire unit was high school. If you were in the popular crowd, you get away with whatever you wanted to. You could do cocaine. There was a guy who did cocaine, and he got 45. There was a guy who had an empty beer in his van,
Right.
and he drove onto base because he lived off a base. All he had was an empty container. He hadn't been drinking. They did the sobriety test and everything. He got busted down. But the guy who did cocaine, because he was friends with the entire company office, kept his rank. They were both E4s.
Yeah.
The guy who did coke ended up nothing. He got 45.
That's weird. That's just crazy that stuff's like that. 'Cause I saw stuff that when I saw people get in trouble, like I had a whole, we were doing, and I don't want to take away from him. I'll keep this short. But anyway, we had a whole unit go down for steroids because we were in Bahrain, and in Bahrain, the naval base there, out in town they sell steroids legally, and people, and so of course our guys go out there. And they end up popping on piss tests. Well, all those guys got booted, every single one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, and there was no saving any of those. But anyway, let's get back to you. So your first duty station. Let's go back to let's start duty station. So you went from San Diego. Where were you at when you were in ship? Or?
I went from San Diego. Went straight to Hawaii. My last choice.
K-Bay or?
I was at Pearl.
Okay, so we're so it's a Marine base at K-Bay. Okay,
but like I said, it was my last choice. Because when they ask you on Dream Day in the Navy boot camp, they say, "Where do you want to go?"
Right.
It was my last choice. I'm born in Idaho. I'm West Coast. I've been to the West Coast. I don't want to go West Coast. I want to go East Coast. I want to go to Europe. I want to do this. No, I go to Hawaii.
That sounds. I mean, you kind of liked it, didn't you?
Nah, not really.
Okay.
So, because as soon as I reported on, got my sea bag, go up. My chief postmate at the quarterdeck meets me, and he says, "Do you know where we're going?"
Right.
I said, "I have no idea, sir." And obviously, you do see it in the movies. Don't call me sir. I'm a chief. I work for a living. Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, he's got his coffee cup.
We all have a coffee cup.
He had his coffee cup, and he told me we were going to war. So he had the guy, the messenger of the watch, take me down to my department, got my bunk. They let me go down to the pier. Your younger generation, I had to go to the payphone.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Was it a payphone?
Yeah, exactly. AT&T.
Yeah, I remember that from boot camp.
Everybody had AT&T.
You have a collect call from, Mom, please call me at this number, blah, 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 blah.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I remember AT&T from boot camp.
Yeah, no, we actually had AT&T cards, man.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
I got busted in boot camp for doing that.
And you had to charge the card, so it wasn't a credit card. It was
you plug it in the wall.
No. You actually put money on the card.
I'm in my mid-30s.
Okay,
I'm not 16 years old. I get what you mean.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, but so I called home, and my mom to this day will tell you it was the hardest conversation she's ever had to have with me.
Oh.
You figure at 16 years old, it's probably hard. No, she said, because she told me that she hated the fact I was going.
Right.
Yeah.
But she had to be strong and everything else. So she basically told me to man up, shut up, and go do my job.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was interesting.
Cool. So that was another 3-4 years? How long did you go in Hawaii?
I was only in Hawaii for a few weeks. Then we were deployed.
Yeah.
Came back. We were there for a few months. We got into a huge fight. My whole department, not just my division, my whole department.
Okay. I like where this is going.
It started from, and see what's funny is I didn't know this until afterwards, but it started from the bar down to our pier.
Oh, that happens. Yeah. Hawaii is always like that.
A legit fight?
Oh yeah,
I thought you were just like, we got mad at each other. Oh.
No.
Okay.
We were fighting other ships that were coming into Pearl, and
that's great.
Oh yeah, no evidence, right? We actually had videotape. We had a guy crawling along the top like he was crowd surfing, reaching down, punching. So come to find out, we were part of Com Third Fleet. We were actually Com Third Fleet, the ship, the USS Coronado. We had Com Third Fleet on. They decided it was probably better, plus the military said, oh yeah, let's move you to San Diego. So we had an option, stay Hawaii, go to San Diego. I hated Hawaii. I had island fever. I wanted to get out of there. So I came stateside.
Okay.
So
yeah, I had experienced Hawaii too for 3 years, but I think I spent like 10 months on island.
Yeah.
So I that's
I think island fever means something different to this generation than what you're referring to.
It probably does.
Well, what I'm saying is I would have preferred to be on the island a little bit more to actually experience.
Yeah,
that's okay.
I was 18. I was always trying to hit up on the next girl, and
that's island fever.
You'd start hitting on the girl, and she's flying out 3 days later because vacation's over, and it's like, wow, really? Because I didn't want to date military.
So,
There's no way.
Right here. 50 first dates, but that from the beginning. So I'm a secret agent.
Exactly.
Scott, there's Scott right there. Got to go.
So yeah, I actually got to meet up with a friend of mine who was neighbors with my aunt and uncle who's from Cuna.
Oh, nice.
And he introduced me to a gal that I was starting to really like, but I'd already made my choice. I was going stateside, so came stateside, went to Coronado Island.
Okay.
So
okay. My dad was there a couple times, so yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and then because of my chief and get me everything, he got me into assault boat school. I got to drive the assault boats. It's not the LCACs or anything like that, or the hovercraft. I'm sorry, it's not the hovercrafts. It's it's not what everybody thinks. I was old, but yes, it's the Mike 6, Mike 8 with the ramps in the front.
Yeah, the stuff you see in like Saving Private Ryan, similar. That's an older version, obviously, but same idea, concept.
Same idea. Those were, I believe, single prop at that time. Ours were dual, because obviously we learned our lesson at Normandy, because that's how most of our boats
got strung up.
Yeah, it was they'd come back. They don't come back straight.
Right.
The way it would capsize them and everything. So. Yeah.
Okay.
So I got to work there and do a lot of exercises because it was amphibious stuff. Then I went TAD to my first one was to the USS Mount Hood. So they were up at Treasure Island, and then after that was the Tarawa. After Tarawa,
so you want to do a big ship like you went from like that to.
So I went from about 585 people to almost 2,500 people.
Tarawa was a big ship, right?
It's a huge. Well, it's a helo carrier.
Yeah.
So it's not a full-on carrier, but it's
that second sized.
It's
I was on the Tarawa for a little while.
Okay. Yeah. So
it's very shitty. I didn't want to go.
Well, you could have gone to the Shitty Kitty.
Well, I mean,
was that the LPD?
The Kitty Hawk is.
Yeah.
But the Tara was LHA.
That's what it is. LHA.
I was
that was LHA. Yeah.
So my ship was LPD.
So I've been on LHA, and then LPDs are those are the troop carrying ones.
Yeah, and see, mine was USS Coronado LPD.
Okay.
But then they turned around.
The Baham Rashad, isn't that LHA?
Well, the Baham Rashad's LHA as well,
okay, so
which is no longer now.
The Essex.
They shuttered. They're decommissioning her.
You heard about that? Yeah, that fire on it.
Yeah, it cost too much. It cost too much money to rebuild her. They said.
That really sucks.
This recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened recently, a couple months ago. Yeah, they there was a fire on there that completely broke out through the whole ship. They had to clear the whole ship. It was in dock, thank God.
Yeah.
But it would burn so bad that they couldn't salvage the ship.
Yeah.
It's done. They were like, this ship is done. There's too much damage, it costs too much to redo.
Yeah, they said it'd cost more money to repair it than it did to build it.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, when you really think about it, trying to refurbish a ship, all the wiring that had to go through that and all that.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't want to do
I mean, it makes sense, but I mean, just.
It may be easier just to rebuild a new one.
Yeah.
Which is obviously what they'll do.
Probably, You need something else,
And if you look at it, we're not all buying razors anymore, so they can't make their money back from the ships.
That's true. Absolutely. Yeah, true statement.
So, but
where'd you go from there?
So after that, I actually got a taste. So I got injured, and I went TAD to 32nd Street.
Sorry to hear that.
And
I'm just kidding.
it was actually a lot of fun. I got to see a different world. I thought maybe I'd want to do the small boys or tin cans, except no matter what ship I hit, my first 3 days I always got seasick.
Nice.
And it was always 3 days. Now, LPD, they're half flat. That way the stern can come closer.
Yeah.
So being on a full flat, you got a lot more rock and rolling and everything else. So, but after a while, I decided I wanted to see a different side of bosun mates. So I went to a cargo ship, an AE, oiler and everything else. So now when those aren't loaded with fuel and ammunition, we sit higher up, and those really get going.
I was MV, right?
Huh?
MV?
No.
Okay, because I know those are the tanker Connex box ships that the Navy has.
Yeah, no. This is.
I'm trying to figure out what.
So basically, seeing how we've got somebody here says
internal.
Yeah, it's
okay.
Ours. When you look at an AE or anything like that, they've got what we call M-frames.
Right.
So, in fact, now every one of them are for merchant mariners.
Oh, okay.
So the merchant mariners they're the ones that bought all those types of ships and stuff like that. I mean, basically, you look at it, I was your floating gas station. You pull alongside, I shot my hose over there, you put it in your tank, and we filled you up.
Nice. The unrep ships a lot then.
Yep.
Yeah, for fueling, I gotcha.
So
I was on a little ship. I can't believe that was actually an unrep ship. I was on the USNS Sirius, which is a tiny ship, but that thing was like they're popping all kinds of supplies over the.
Yeah,
pretty wild.
Yeah, so I got to see that side of it and everything else. I had a lot of fun because I thought I was gonna do boat cruise and everything else, but unfortunately, and I won't say unfortunate, my detailer would tell me, this is where you need to go. This is what you need to do to keep advancing.
Yeah.
Because as we continue to go into the late 90s and early 2000s and stuff like that, it started becoming more about politics.
It does. Well, that's every generation. The higher, it's like I think when we did my podcast, I talked about as I was getting up in rank. It's just the higher up you get in rank, the way I put it is the more you see behind the curtain.
Right.
And when you see more to see behind the curtain, the less you want to stay because you're like, yeah, okay. I think I've had it. I've seen how this is going. It's probably not where I want to be. It's the same idea, The longer you in, the more you see, the more you, So I agree with you. Yeah, it's one of those things.
And see, and that's the thing, because I mean, as an E5, I was running my division, everything else. Got a guy that came right to a ship, E6, thinks he should take my job, everything else. Right. My senior chief at the time was like, you got to prove yourself. He's sitting in the office, he's ironing coveralls. He's shining his boots. I mean, you could see yourself in them. And I'm sitting here, got some paint stains, got a few holes from my work ones.
Right.
And he would tell me I was in the wrong uniform. I'm like, I'm a working petty officer.
Right.
This is how you work.
This is a work uniform.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I'm not going for inspection. I don't have somebody coming up and making sure I'm squared away like that, you know? Absolutely. So it just got worse and worse after a while.
Yeah. It makes sense. And it totally makes sense, especially the longer you stay in.
Well, and besides that, I mean, with what I did, I'm not going to ask my guys to do it if I can't do it.
Right.
Absolutely.
If I'm unrepping, we got to grease a cable. I'm going to get right beside you. I'm going to load up that grease, and we're going to grease that cable because we got another ship relying.
Yeah.
So.
That's cool. Yeah. I always watch unreps. So those are just, they had little guns too.
So,
and
those, now being on both sides of it.
The monkey ball, right? I forgot.
No, the monkey ball is it's a monkey fist. That's when we'd throw it.
There you go.
No, that's when we'd throw it onto the pier. And actually, what's funny is I learned how to do that on my first ship, and I got to be very, very good at what I did.
Nice.
So if I told you heads up and you didn't move,
right.
My buddies placed a bet, and I was third fleet. We pulled in. We had a captain that came over, and no one really liked her. And she had her car parked right on the pier.
Oh.
And my buddy came up.
See what's going.
Yeah, and he's like, "I'll give you $100 right here."
She the music.
Exactly. He's like, $100, you can't hit that car. And I said, "Really?" So a bunch more people came on board, and I'm like, "Oh yeah." And they're like, so they told us over all lines, and I looked up and I looked over at my phone talking. I said, "Yep, here we go." And I'm yelling heads up, and just as I let go, they're like, "Boats, don't!" And you hit her windshield. And I was like, yes.
Man, nice. 10 points. So
I became very rich. I didn't get to go home that night. So
I don't think it was worth it.
It was 100%.
It sounds like it's about worth it. Yeah,
Was.
Did they know that you did it, or is it sound like
no? They knew it was.
Or you just said, "Oh man, that was an accident," kind of thing.
Yeah,
you played it off. Or
I played it off when I told them when they hit they yelled out boats. I sort of kind of let go too soon.
Yeah.
So because yeah, but no, now shooting across the ship, that's a bolo.
Yeah.
And same thing.
Those are cool to watch too.
Well,
I watched one of those once.
And if you're not covering,
oh yeah,
they will aim at you.
Oh, right.
You can put your helmet up,
right?
Your hard hat. Right. You put your hard hat. They will aim for it. You know, they got a kick out of it.
Right. Of course. Yeah, you get bored on ship, right?
Exactly.
So you were E5. How many years were you into this point?
So I made E5 about my 6th year in.
Okay. That's not bad. Actually, pretty good there.
I could have been sooner. I'm not a great test taker. Navy's one of very few at that time that was still doing actual test and not
change. They still do.
Yeah.
I still haven't figured out, but hey, if that's what they like.
Well, see, and that's the other reason why I started getting upset, because some kid that comes in knew how to play the system. And
it's a good test taker, you know.
Well, he and I could miss the same exact questions, and we're both say 88 and you need 90, and they're like, oh, well, in your record over here, you did this and this, so we're giving you an extra point. But you, and it's like, dude, I'll run circles around this guy on the deck. Come on, don't even.
It's a bias going there. Yeah. And it is what it is. Yeah. That sucks. I can't even argue that. Like, oh, you're right.
And it is what it is. I mean, you can complain about it all day long, but it's not going to change.
Right.
So what do you do?
So did you eventually get to E6? Or?
I did get to E6.
Okay.
So by the time I got to E6, that's when I was really starting to, do I really want to keep going? Because it was really, I thought it was rough going from tail hook to integrated.
Right.
And then I thought it was rough going to a whole totally different ball game.
Right.
Where you had to do more of your administrative stuff. You had to...
Yep.
You were starting to get in, you had to have your ESWAS pin, you had to have this, and it's like, I don't have that kind of time. I work 24/7.
Right.
I've got a carrier that's coming up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I just got off watch at midnight. I've got a small boy after that. You want me to get my rigs up and running, my crews up and going, plus have time to go get this pin.
Right. Yep.
That's not what I'm doing. This isn't that's not how the military works. We work to work. We work to do our job. We work to,
Right.
It's not about polishing this, polishing that. I'm not corporate
type.
If you're to put it into the civilian senses.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
makes total sense.
It was making it really, really tough.
Okay. So after the so you were there, and then what happened after that? Did you end up going to get a new duty station? Or
so when I went to the oiler, I pretty much finished most of my term on the oiler, going back and forth between, because at that time we were in Puget Sound, so I was going back and forth between. I was stationed more Camden, but I'd go to the. Yeah, I'm in Camden in Bremerton, Washington, and Seattle. Oiler is over in Camden, New Jersey, but so I was either Camden or Sacramento. The problem was as we were coming off a deployment, they were going on deployment. Right. So
that rotation.
Yeah. The only time we were out together at the same time is we had just got back off a deployment. They were out there to take over for us. We pulled in day after we pulled in. I went to go pick up one of my shipmates. And she's like, did you just see what's on the news? And I was like, no, what's going on? And she's like, come into my house. So I went. I didn't want to because I lived right down the street. My wife, if she would have seen me walk in and her husband's on deployment, okay. But I went in and that's when 9/11 hit.
Oh, okay.
So we were like, wow.
I was one of those guys you hated back then. I was a recruiter during 9/11.
So
I was in high school.
Yeah. So we went back to the ship. No one knew what was going on, and so they said, "Go about your day. Blah 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 blah. Do this, do that." All right. So we were doing PT, and get the call on a radio, not a cell phone.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Get back to the ship now." So I get back, and they're like, "We're pulling anchor." I'm like,
what? Back then it'd be like cell phone. Yes, get back to the ship.
Yeah. So
you check your pager to see.
Right. 911
call. Yeah.
So we went back to the ship. They told us we were getting ready to pull up the brow. We were going to unmoor. We were going to head out. We were recalling teams, all because when you go on deployment, you go in shifts on who's on leave and who's not. I was the second shift because who would have thought we were going to end up doing anything?
Yeah.
Right.
And we took off. All my laundry was at home. I only had my pair of coveralls, my PT gear, and that was it because I thought I was going home that night.
Oh, man.
And we all took off, so we were all cleaning out the ship store and everything else.
I'm sure that was rough.
I'm sure they made bank.
Well, the ship store sucks, man.
And they don't have a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
so
I mean, if you don't have anything,
see, we didn't know when we were pulling in, but we finally got to pull in Seal Beach. We got to go there,
Coronado, huh?
to pick up all the Seal Beach is actually up by LA.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're talking about that Seal Beach? Okay, I'm thinking because my father was a SEAL, so
right.
No,
not Seal Beach. I'm like, oh, Coronado.
Seal
okay,
Beach.
Yeah, no, we got to
the Seals Beach.
Right. Well, yeah, I got that.
Yeah, we hit Seal Beach.
When you say the Navy term,
yeah,
right, we got it.
Yeah,
right.
no, we hit Seal Beach, got some ammunition, and we got a few people back, and then we went down to Coronado. And I'll tell you what, that NX hated us. We were just cleaning them out of t-shirts and underwear and socks. And then we took off again.
Yeah, actually, they should be happy about that because that stuff probably never moves unless something like that happens.
Yeah, it's been there for years.
Nice. Yeah, exactly. All the dust on the thing. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
And his pack of underwear.
The underwear's got holes in it already.
I hope not. But,
well, if you're a true sailor, you never wore them anyway, you know.
Right.
Boy, I'm glad I joined the Marine Corps.
The only thing I thought was crazy was just the bell bottoms, man. You guys had the bell bottoms back in the day?
But you know what's funny is everybody makes fun of them.
I didn't make fun of it. I'm just saying you guys just had the bell bottoms, man. They look comfortable.
Yeah, but they were. Unless you're wearing your Cracker, well, we call it the Cracker Jacks, the dress blues.
See, I didn't like the Cracker Jacks. I like the.
I liked them, but those 13 buttons, and when you're not sober,
right,
and you really got to go,
right,
you hate those buttons.
Yeah, I like your guys' blacks.
Well, see,
about the what do you call those? I think your corn. I used to see the corpsmen wearing them.
The utilities.
No, not the utilities. I guess you could call them utilities.
Well, back in that day, it was.
We call them our Charlies, but they had the.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It was actually our Cracker Jacks were our dress uniform, and those were more of our working uniform for offices and stuff like that, or for your.
Maybe
corpsmen.
That's what it was. Well, I guess maybe maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, it had the little cap and
Okay, so that
see now
a term for it. I can't remember.
Yeah, see from now, I don't even follow anymore because I'm more on the tradition side. But like I said, those Cracker Jacks, when you've got to go to the restroom and you're drunk, but at the same time, if you're smart, you sew your buttons on the outside, get the two middle, put Velcro, looks like it's uniform. So all you have to do is just open the flap.
Right.
So
nice.
But
there you go.
So let's go on from there.
But see, the bell bottoms though. You jump in the water, and I jump in the water. Those bell bottoms, I can slide those off my boots real easy.
Yep.
And
but they make good flotation devices too, because they hold in water pretty well.
It's Levi's
jean material. Yeah.
So I mean, they teach you how to do it.
Right. Well, his is probably Velcro, man. Just like stripper pants and just rip them off.
Magic Mike before Channing Tatum came into it or something,
There you go. Yeah, Channing Tatum was like, he just gave away our secrets. So, no, it's all good. Actually, I thought that some of the Navy uniforms are pretty cool. But where'd you go from there?
So, like I said, from there, then I was gonna go to the USS Constitution.
You're talking real big now.
I'm talking old school. I'm talking. I've given most
the one with the sails. No, I'm kidding.
It's the one with the sails. So
the USS Constitution. Like I think I have the Constitution sitting out there.
My tattoo is that same type of ship. So I had it ready to go. I went through interview after interview because it's naval history.
Right.
Now it's sea duty.
Yeah.
But you only go out twice a year, 8 hours.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But you get that whole sea pay
and it's
whole
like
time.
A parade. Like you parade that ship around.
And that's all. Like that's the only time you go out to sea. Right. And it's not even sea.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's for the parades. So getting ready to go, loving life. I'm just excited. I'm a single dad, 3 kids.
I would be too, man. That's a lot of fun. I used to sail, so I would love something like that.
Well, see, and they got to go old uniform. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know in the Navy, if you survive a sunken ship, you have 1 earring.
Yep.
If you survive it again, you have 2 earrings, but they're hoops. You know, military, you're not allowed to do that kind of stuff.
Right.
At that time,
there's always exceptions.
And so it was the history. It was going back to that. I was really proud of it, and I got the phone call. Actually, it was an email. I was on deployment. It's when the coal got hit.
Yep.
We were on deployment. We got extended, and I was told to call my detailer, and he was moving me. I was gonna start doing river patrol. We're working with the Marines and stuff, going from there.
Yeah.
I was highly upset.
Oh, I'm sure you did. I would be too, man. You just got robbed.
Well, and here I was going to be deployed.
Right.
And I'm a single dad.
Yep.
I got full custody of all 3 of my kids. A sailor at that, you know. And I asked him.
Duty and that's
I asked him. I said, you know, I'm a single dad. Well, I can't do this. And he goes, well, did they come in your sea bag? And I was like, what? And he's...
You're damn right they are. They're right in my sea bag in my berthing.
And he goes, were they issued to you in boot camp? And I said, I don't believe you're telling me this. I said, I've given you my life. I've done everything you've asked me to. I've done anything and everything that you wanted me to do. I didn't question it. Now the one time.
Right?
Yeah.
And so at that point in time, I was done. I was getting out. I'm not going to re-enlist. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. So I went to get out. I was at the...
How many years were you at this time?
At that time, I was 12.
Oh, so you were right over the hump.
Yeah, I was right at that. I'm going home. I'm floating, feet in the air. I'm done.
Oh, man. First civ div, you know?
You know, and so they flew me back. They flew me back stateside because my time was up. And, it was coming up. But if they would have held on to me on the ship, I would have been too far, and they would have had to have extended me. Mm-hmm. So they flew me back to Puget Sound. At that time, I started working with a bunch of Seabees.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So it was pretty cool. I started calming down a little bit.
Sometimes you just need to change it. You just need to change the scenery. That's I think a lot of that. I think the only reason why I made it as far as I did was the fact that I wasn't just stuck being an infantryman.
Yeah.
That I could go I went. My first was infantryman. Then I went to recruiting duty, which is we're kind of overlapping in that, and then and just being able to go back and forth. Because if you just had to sit in that one type job, I don't see how anybody could do that career for 20 years and say that and do it.
Well, but see, that was the interesting thing about being a bosun mate. So a lot of my buddies now that I trained or that worked for me, they're still going, and it's just different ships and different things like that.
Right.
But for me, it was just I started calming down because this was my life. 12 years.
You said 12 years. You're over 10. So usually it's the 10-year mark. You're like, okay, at 10 you're like, do I get out? Because I'm literally halfway exactly.
See, and I wouldn't even say 10. It's when you hit your 8 and you're like, it's just 2 more. Because if you look at it, I ask guys all the time when they're like, oh, I was in 8 years, 10 years, and it's like, why?
Dude, I know guys that did 15 and got out. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Do I need to smack you, dude? What's wrong with you?
Exactly.
5 more years.
Yeah, well, I've got one of my old coworkers in St. George, Utah.
Yeah.
10 years in the Navy, never saw the sea, and he was a seagoing rate.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, why'd you get out? And he goes, I didn't want to do it anymore. 10 years.
Oh, man. See, and that's
and
crazy.
I'm like...
I didn't understand that. Well, I mean, then you're going 15 and plus. Well, so they started giving early retirements, but I'm talking about guys that didn't even get early retirement. They just got out, and I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Why? I mean, you just invested all this time. You're never going to get it back.
Yeah. Not a dime.
And you got nothing out of it to show for it.
Exactly.
And I feel for him, but at the same time, it's like, dude, why did you do that?
Yeah, you did to yourself.
You do it to yourself.
Absolutely.
So you're in 12 years right now. So yeah.
So as I started rethinking things, because like I said, I'm done. I'm there. What else am I going to do? This takes care of my family,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And because of the certain things going on and everything else, my folks had temporary custody of my kids, so they were taken care of.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that.
And everything, so I call my detailer. Nope, you're still gonna do this. Ah, man,
I think
okay, fine.
I think we call our guys monitors. They call theirs detailers.
Right. I don't know why, because I don't know what kind of
guys they do career planners,
Yeah.
basically.
Planner. Yeah.
Well, career planners are the company level and battalion levels, and then above them is the monitors, which monitor where you're going.
Yeah.
So same idea, detailers.
Yeah, your monitor turns around and says, okay, you've got your choice between this, and this.
That's the same thing.
Yeah. Our detailers.
They actually give you a choice. That's cool though.
Well,
Yeah. It's,
I don't know if it's a choice because it's either A or B. Flip the coin,
Yeah.
and that's basically all you do. I mean, when I went to the Camden, so I was in a Helo squadron.
Yeah.
Right before I went to the Camden, and he goes, "Okay, you can go to the USS Sacramento in Camden, New Jersey, because I wanted East Coast,
Right.
or you can go on USS Camden in Bremerton, Washington." I'm like, "Yeah," and he goes, "By the way, Sacramento's on deployment," and I was like, "Ah, crap! I don't want to go straight to deployment if I got to move my family to Bremerton, Washington." I'm like, "I'll go to the Camden." 2 weeks after I got to Bremerton,
Nice. Yeah, I can see this is going on. I'm like, oh man.
But
yeah.
so
You
no,
got what you wanted for a second.
You got what you wanted, but
Yeah.
not exactly where it was at.
Absolutely.
I ended up going and getting my wife into a hotel room. My wife and kid, 2 kids at that time, into a hotel room, and just finally got housing set up, and they were going to move everything in, and I was flying out to Sasebo.
Oh man, Japan. Oh, nice base, but man, that's did these fly your family out there, or did you?
I didn't get stationed there. No, that's when I met my.
You meeting up your ship?
I was meeting my ship, so I flew to Sasebo.
Straight to deployment.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, jeez.
Yeah, so I flew to Sasebo, but what was funny is I didn't even get to see Sasebo because from there I went to Fukuoka.
Okay, I know Fukuoka too. All right.
Yeah. But anyway, so when I was back with the CBs, I kept calling my detailer, asking, and this and that. And it's getting closer. My EAOS is coming up. I'm going to just bite it. I'm done. I can't do it. Got lucky enough. Detail in Nellis was looking for supply.
I've been in Nellis too. That's actually where I recruited out of.
So I turned around and I went to Nellis, working supply there for a while, and then crossed over to security, and that's when I retired.
Okay. Nice.
So
yeah, I really hated Nellis. Since I was a recruiter out there. I lived right across the street from Nellis Air Force Base, man.
So everybody knows it's military. Everybody knows,
yes.
except for Air Force.
Hey, it's the home of the Thunderbirds.
Well, but other than this is the only Air Force base that I know has got the trashiest location.
Oh, yeah. It's in the North Las Vegas.
Yes.
I recruited out of North Las Vegas, which was a ghetto.
So now I had to go pick up.
You've been to Oceanside before, right?
No.
No.
Let me put it this way: 4 to 5 murders right around my RSS.
So
in 1 month. Yeah, and that's how big the gangs were out there.
Well, I mean,
it was one of those things.
Any base in, Treasure Island.
Off of Martin Luther King. Anywhere that says Martin Luther King, you know is a bad place.
Yeah, it's a bad
Yeah.
area. But
okay, I've been to red light districts
Right.
Sure.
in the States that they say all the military can't go to, but we all flock there.
Right.
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, neither do I. And I felt safe.
Yeah.
I had to go pick up some airmen who got picked up for
Something
public intoxication. I don't know,
something
something stupid, because
Yeah.
it's Air Force guys. What did they do? They broke their drone or something. I don't know. Loaded in a vehicle with weapons, and I still felt like I needed bigger security. I thought
it's a pretty rough area, man.
I thought I was going to have to call a battalion to come in with tanks and 50 cals, get a 3-inch 50. It just was.
It's crazy. I had a few run-ins with things out there. I had a motorcycle stolen out there. It was bad, man. It was a rough area. I mean, it was all around that Air Force base too, which is insane. And there wasn't anything out there.
No,
it was just a ghetto though, because all the people who lived in that area were just. It's all the people that worked in the casinos, that worked at Cazzo, so they're all out in the middle, on the outskirts, away from the main drive down there and trust me, I had like 6 high schools out there, and it was rough, man. It was probably the roughest 3 years, but yeah,
it's scary.
it was rough. So, well, I'm glad you made it one piece. I mean, I'm glad I made it one piece, as you can see. So,
yeah, I was going to say, put me back in Afghanistan. Yeah. I don't care. Do whatever, but don't put me over there in north of Vegas.
Whoa, do I get a combat action for going to Vegas or what? So, yeah, it was a pretty crazy time. That's pretty cool. So you got to retire out of Nellis, right?
I got to retire out of Nellis.
So you did 23, right?
20.
20. Okay, so
I wanted to do more.
Chief, first class?
Chief,
nice. Congrats.
So I wanted to do more. I went back to a ship for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I went only because of the fact that I was trying to still make rank.
Right.
And doing the things I was doing at Nellis just wasn't going to help. So I went TAD to another ship. I was running the department, and my LPO came to me, and he told me that he was having issues with this kid.
Yeah.
Now, a room about the size that we're in right now, I know these guys can't see it on there, not very large.
No.
So I was like, all right, let's go check it out. Kid's sitting on his cell phone.
Okay.
And broom sitting next to him. And I'm like, look, man, just grab that broom. Let's do some sweepers. Get it cleaned up. Turn it over to duty section. We'll blow out of here. We're gone. We're done. We're out.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to go with your LPO. We're going to check things out. We'll come back, check it out. Come back. The kid's still on his phone. So I grab her broom. And I'm like, come on, man, I'll help you. We'll get this, we'll knock this out at the same time. And he's like, who are you to tell me what to do?
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
At that point in time, I was furious. I've never pulled rank a day in my life. And I grabbed my collar and I said, do you see this? Do you fucking see this? Do you? And at that point, I realized what was going on and I got madder. So then, instead of yelling and screaming, I was getting physical. My hands were going towards his throat. I saw his eyeballs popping out of his... I imagined everything possible from squeezing the kid's head like a pimple. Mm-hmm. And at that point in time, I heard my grandfather's voice, when you stop having fun, you start getting in trouble.
Right.
Now, I've never seen masked. I was a boastmate with gold stripes.
Right.
At that time, it was impossible. Now it's a dime a dozen. And I was like, I got to go.
Yeah.
I'm done.
I can see what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'd already had the one downfall. Now I've got another one. I'm done.
Right.
So.
I mean, it's and fair enough. At some point you realize like for me, I knew, I was doing I was at 123, and as soon as I hit 22. I was like, yeah, this is time to go. I think I've had enough, and dealing with the same type things. You just know it, and you're just like, you know what though? At least you knew it was time to go. That was the same thing for me. I was like, I told the wife, I'm like, I gotta go. You know what? At this point, it's probably good to pack it in and start calling it. And she supported me on that. Just so I'm sure probably the same idea. And you're just like,
well, I didn't have a wife. So the last time I had to ask my wife for permission was for my vasectomy.
Oh, there you go. Well, there you go.
So you
ain't got to worry about that anymore.
So I mean, my wife now, she hears me talk every once in a while. I don't tend to talk about it a lot because
you can have her watch this now, and you don't have to sit there. You're like, look, babe, just watch this. And then you got all the answers, and just don't talk to me about that.
I tell her all the time though, it's rough talking to people.
Yeah,
they just don't get it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, that's why we are doing this.
Because
we're trying to bridge that gap between we want one to be able to connect to other veterans, and then two, we want everybody else to kind of understand where we're coming from. And I think that's why myself and Danny, we started this to try to bridge that gap, because people don't understand us, and it's very hard to try to explain all this to people.
Well, see, and that's the rough part, because people watch it in the movies and they hear stories of hazing. To me, it was a pride. So I don't know how you guys do it when you make rank, but as soon as you put on E4 in the Navy, they did what they call tacking on the crow.
Yeah, well, they did that and a bunch of other stuff to us.
Yeah, when you get pins...
We're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, so mine was way before... Yeah. Before the whole hazing thing came out.
Yeah.
I think hazing came out after that. They started crack down, but man, I remember I got my ass beat.
See, and that's the thing.
So I got these pinned on. So we had our chevrons pinned on. I'm sure it's the same idea. Mm-hmm. And then you gotta walk the gauntlet. I don't know if you guys have the gauntlet too. You walk, and then they freaking so you get elbowed on each side. and then you get, and when you pick up E4, you get need to earn your blood stripes. And then when you do that, you walk down a gauntlet, right? So you got a whole platoon, like 30 plus people. Maybe even a company. It's all dependent on where, like infantry guys, you're going through the whole company.
Yeah.
So, but you got to walk through each person, and you don't just get hit once. You get hit, you turn around, and you have to do it. So to get two, you got to get both sides.
Yeah.
So you're doing this, and pretty much everybody that used to get promoted would be in the BAS if because by the end of the day they couldn't walk.
Yeah.
But here nor there, and I think that it's just I think the problem with. I mean, I had no issue with the hazing. I just think that people took it too far.
Yeah.
And that's the people that ruin it for everybody.
Yeah. And I'll 100% agree with that. I mean, so when you make E4, anybody E4 and above,
right,
they had it before you, they get to punch your crow.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
But we would have guys that rolls of dimes. They'd come off of lockers, WWE again, and
run
just,
in and hit. What the heck's wrong with you,
the second guy that did that to me, even though at that time I was feeling honor and I accomplished something.
Right.
I lost the feeling in my arm.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you guys can hit it now. I don't care.
And then he's like, I just jumped off the third deck, and then the next guy's like, well, hell, I'm gonna go get my bat. Because he's gonna get one up. It's like, hey man,
exactly.
I'm the one getting beat here. Come on now, guys.
People take it too far, or they have like personal grudges. So
like they want payback.
Yeah, it's no longer about like. I'm trying to do this as a camaraderie thing. It's like I don't like you, so I'm gonna hit you as hard as I can, and that's how you end up like. See, it used to be like, oh, you could fight,
right? Oh yeah.
But now you can't do that,
Right. Yeah. Well, that's why they took it all away, and then now it's like, I mean, it's the camaraderie. I think the camaraderie is there, but not like it was when we had it.
Absolutely. It's
so that's what's lost. You do lose it, and
it's no different than, like I said, the first time my first ship. My first 3 years on that ship was all male ship.
Oh yeah,
and then we went integrated. And no offense to the women, I've got so many different women friends that hands down I would grab in a heartbeat because they outworked so many and the things that they were willing to do. But it was so odd changing our everyday.
Yeah.
Well,
stuff.
I'll tell you, I can relate. Routines, you know why? Is because I got the first females that went through infantry school. Remember they started putting women in the infantry, right? I received the first ones. I was at a ground sensor platoon in Okinawa. Well, they're made up of so half our Marines are infantry guys, and half of them are comm. So we had some comm females, but when they decided they didn't know where to put all these females that were just graduating to the first class for infantry. Well, they decided to make them all ground sensor because they needed infantry. So, it's just what happened. And, I'll say same idea. It's what? I don't have anything against it. It's one of those,
it's a different lifestyle.
It is. I had to change the way I did things. Business-wise, I couldn't treat them all like they're male. But at the same time, I still had to do the same. I had to keep the same leadership, type role.
What? So when you were in Okinawa, you were a staff NCO?
I was a gunny, and I picked up MASH arm while I was there.
See, I think it depends on your rank how you treat people. I treated everybody exactly the same.
Yeah, well, my shovel fell off. That was the one from.
If you were a male or a female and you fucked up, whatever, you pay the same consequences.
See, you're right, 100%. The only problem is. And again, you have a bad apple no matter what.
Absolutely.
You have
10%, the 10% rule.
And very similar to I'd never had issues. I was gold stripes, honorable. But I had a young gal. We were bringing paint up from our fifth decks. We were unloading, get ready to go for dry docks. Very well endowed. Mm-hmm. And she, I'm standing at the top of the ladder, stairs for you guys, and I'm saying, come on, grab that 5-gallon bucket, let's go. And she flat out told me, I'll show you my breasts if you won't let me do this anymore. Yeah.
And I'm like, craziness. I've never heard something like that.
And she undoes her coveralls and she flashes, and I said, oh, those are nice. Now grab that can and let's go.
Right?
Yeah.
We're done.
Everything's like, hold on, I'll show you mine.
But we get done with everything, and next thing I know, I'm getting ready to go to captain's mast.
Yeah, because she reported.
That I said you show them to me.
Yeah.
And so, and that's not to all the females.
Right,
Absolutely.
Because, like I said, you have your bad apples.
Yeah.
You got them on the guy's side, you got them on whatever side. But that's just some of the things you had to look out for.
Sure.
And it was rough.
Yeah.
Because they took their word, especially, like I said, when we got integrated, it was right after Tail Hook.
Right.
So it was definitely 100%. I had to prove...
You had to prove you were innocent.
Exactly. I had to give blood. I had to, and
Absolutely.
I don't hold grudges against her.
Sure.
She was young.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I don't know. That's a shitty human being, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm upset about it.
Well,
I'm upset about it for you because
I enjoyed the view. I just didn't have to tip $1.
Yeah. Just,
Well, it'd been worse if you tipped $1, because then I guarantee you would probably got cat match. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, no. So I mean, like I said, it is what it is. I was highly upset. I was
absolutely.
At that point in time. I was all against females being in the Navy. I'm like, this is not where you belong. You know.
So I'm gonna take it. So here's 2 questions we normally ask. All right, we ask what was your best time that was in, and what was your worst time that was in. Would you consider that your worst time or worst thing where you were in?
No,
The best and the worst, all in about 5 minutes.
no. So the best thing.
Well, no, I mean, if he's talking about his worst thing, then I'm like, okay, but if there's something worse than that, all right, let's hear this.
No, the best thing was actually, I think, the beating I took, the training,
Okay,
Yeah.
the extra training I took. That woke me up.
that's a camaraderie he's talking about, right there.
absolutely.
Because it did. I mean, it showed the respect to my supervisor and everything else. The worst thing is a toss-up. It's either how the new military has come out or when we responded to the USS Cole.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
And what would you say your worst time was?
well, like I said, it's a toss-up. Because the Cole was probably the nastiest thing I'd ever seen.
Okay.
And then the way
So yours kind of coincides together.
Yeah, because I mean,
Which, fair enough.
the newer military. I've got 2 boys that are 21.
Right.
Well, they'll be 21 next month.
Yeah.
And they asked about going in the military. Now, one of them's my stepson. He's, I'm Marine Corps. Whoa, wow.
Smart kid.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll have him on the podcast.
Right? Yeah. There we go. Bring him on in. We'll get him too.
My son, he was looking more intelligence, Navy or Air Force, and I was like, I don't want you guys going. And they're like, why? And I said, and my wife's like, well, you did it. And I said, if they do it, I will get back in. And she goes, why? And I said, I can only guarantee their safety if I'm there.
Yeah.
I can't guarantee that same thing because I don't see that. I don't see that anymore.
They're pretty sophisticated on the intelligence side. I'm gonna tell you that. That was where I was at. I had the ground sensor side.
Yeah. Well, no, and I understand that, but I mean, if you were to be in a gunfight or a firefight, who's going to be there? Yeah. So, like I said, it's a toss up between those 2 things. In all honesty, because when you look at somebody who grew up Navy, heard all the stories as a kid,
Right.
knew the traditions and stuff like that. Well, A Few Good Men.
Right.
The movie.
Yeah.
You see
can't
that
handle the
that's your Marine movie.
Oh yeah, I know.
But in that movie, you see Robert De Niro's character not being able to adapt to the change.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I was feeling. And when I watched that movie, I was like, that was me 100%.
Right. Yeah.
Because it was about the tradition, it was about the honor, it was about everything else. It's about, I'll do my job,
Absolutely.
just let me do it.
That's why if you ask a Marine what movie they could really relate to, for us it's always Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, exactly.
Because that boot camp, a lot of the boot camp you can relate to, even though it's not.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of Jarhead.
I hated that movie.
See, I just didn't like it.
Well, the only reason why I read the book and the book was better.
Oh.
So
I joined the Marine Corps, so I didn't have to read. So.
Well, see, now, if you were to ask me right now about a movie, I'd tell you for the Navy, it'd be Down Periscope.
Yeah.
oh, man. Or at least you say McHale's Navy.
So, like I said, it's a toss-up between those 2 because, like I said, the coal, I mean, they were going in for fueling.
Right.
Yeah.
It was something just totally disguised. And
Yep.
again, when people talk to me about certain things and I let them know my ship was the first one to respond, they're like,
Right.
well, that couldn't have been that bad, was it?
Oh man.
And it's
that was pretty bad.
So after I retired, I sold cars for a while in St. George, Utah.
This is awesome because I was getting ready to. I was getting ready to go this route. Like, well, so what'd you do after the Navy? So you already jumped into that.
Well, because the fact I was a bosun, I mean, what am I gonna do? Be some rich man's yacht driver? might as well. I should have started Uber back then.
You could. You might be making bank right now if you started Uber,
easy
right?
podcasts. Haven't had to like direct or anything. Just
He's got it, man.
Just do it, man.
It's on you. Yeah.
Well, there's a kid that pulled in, but I didn't know it was a kid at the time. But he had United States Navy retired on the back of his car, a bumper sticker, and I'm like, cool. I'm telling all the other car guys, hey, this is mine. You know, I'm gonna go get him. I got something I can relate to and everything else. Kid gets out, and I'm like, oh wow. Okay,
Is that your dad's?
He's too young. He can't be retired. So I walk up, I introduce myself. I'm like, so who's retired? Your grandfather, your dad? And he goes, oh, I am. I said, really? And he said, yeah. I said, wow, cool. I'm like, you're really young. He goes, I'm medically discharged, 100% disability.
That's not retired.
So I'm like, okay, you know, did you get hurt over in Afghanistan or anything? He goes, no, never saw action.
No, some chief jumped on me. No, okay.
And then I was like, okay, never saw action. I said, well, did you get hurt doing exercises? And he said, no, I never saw the fleet.
He didn't even get that basic, did he? Oh, man, I'm about to lose.
So then I'm like, okay, so you and your recruiter lied on your application. You got caught, and because your recruiter helped you lie, this is what you're doing. He goes, oh, no, I spent 1 year, so many months, so many weeks, so many hours, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, my instructor in A school was yelling, screaming at me, calling me a bunch of names, so I went to the chaplain and said I was going to kill myself.
Oh, my God, man. We had this conversation, but, you know, we did a whole podcast on this one with our suicide awareness class, and that was one of the things we talked about. So
people like that drive me crazy.
We didn't want to get that started again.
Oh, see, and that's the sad part, because, you know, I'm a car salesman. I make money selling cars.
Dad had so much problems selling that car, that kid.
I didn't.
Good for you.
Looked at the kid, grabbed my hand, turned it over, and I'm looking at my watch, and I see you got 45 seconds to get back in your car and get off my lot and never let me see you again. And he goes, but I want to buy a car. And I said, 40 seconds.
Right.
And I want you off my lot now, or I'll show you what 100% disability is. You're at 30 seconds. Right. And the kid's still looking at me, and I'm like, I promise you, I look good in orange. I have no problem with this. Yeah. Next thing I know, he's burning out of there, and I was just in awe. Because like I said, I mean, when we hit the coal, the people that were injured and still fighting the floods and helping everybody. Absolutely. And here's this kid. I was getting called names. Yeah. My first name, I forgot what my name was when I first joined the Navy. I heard every other name but mine, you know?
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So
I had an issue with somebody like that. So I kind of talked about it in my interview, but when we talked about it earlier.
He's got issues.
Yeah, plenty of issues. Well, I had to go to boot camp twice. First time I went, I had a hernia. I got medically discharged. Instead of taking a disability rating, you get nothing. And they're like, well, you can come back.
Right.
So I was like, cool, I'll come back in 6 months. Because that was the earliest you can do it. And I met somebody a few years later after my second tour in Iraq. It was my brother's friend and roommate. And he was like, oh, yeah, I was in the Marine Corps. I was like, oh, yeah, so, you know, and my brother was telling him my dad and my brother.
Yeah, I remember this story.
And he was saying, like, yeah, I got hurt in boot camp. He hurt whatever. And he's like, if I were you, I wouldn't say that around my brother, my dad.
Right?
At all. And then the first time I met him, because he told me the story. My brother told me the story. And first time I met him, I'm like, you're the guy who got hurt in boot camp, yeah? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, and you tell people you're a Marine? And he's like, oh, well. And I said, look, don't ever say anything to me. You live here. That doesn't mean I won't beat the shit out of you. Right? Like, just don't ever say anything to me, and we'll be fine. Yeah. But if I ever hear a story about you saying that, either myself or my dad is going to be here, and I mean, I'll kick the shit out of you.
Yeah, no doubt. Right?
See, I mean, really, it's just like all those people that were, you know, after 9/11 walking around in uniform that weren't military. Yeah. And they were getting busted for their wrong ribbons and this and that.
Absolutely.
It's no different than... I know somebody again.
I think we should do one of these days. We'll have to do a Stolen Valor podcast. Yeah, why not? You know.
Yeah, well,
we watch some Stolen Valor videos and just.
I mean, the thing is like Stolen Valor is one of those crazy ones you got to be careful with, because I mean sometimes, you jump on the wrong person and they're legit, and then how do you look as an individual?
Yeah.
So one of those, as long as they're not making money off of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well,
but you don't say that's where it gets me. If you're making money off of this,
it's kind of a gray area.
Yeah,
because I feel like if you're wearing a uniform out in public,
right,
people are just going to give you attention, and they're going to buy you. Like a lot of times, they're going to buy you stuff, or like you're going to.
And that's what I'm talking about.
Let me buy your lunch. Let me do this. Let me do that.
Right.
When I came back from Iraq, I went to a Niners game his parents live in the Bay Area, and we went to a Niners game, and there was this guy in the Army, and he just looked trashy. Like, he was in his BDUs, he had his boots, or he had his pants tucked into his boots, and they were like lopsided, and it was all wrinkly, like, and he had like all stubble all over his face, and like his shirt was just kind of like this. And I went into the bathroom, and like I
you okay, man? Did someone beat the crap out of you?
I'm washing my hands, and he's next to me, and I said, "Hey, man, you need to fix yourself." And he's like, "What?" And I was like, "You look like shit. You're representing us. Like, I'm in the Marine Corps, but same team, same fight." And I was like, "You're representing us, and you look like ass." And he's like, "Oh, who the fuck are you?" And I was like, "Look, I'm a Marine. Like, I'm currently stationed here. I'm visiting after my second tour in Iraq. You look fucking disgusting. Like, I can't tell you to shave your face, but fix your boots, fix your collar. Like, you look like shit. You're out there getting people. I tell you, like, the attention. That's good for you. I'm not that type of person. Like, I always had longer hair. Like, when I was in the Marine Corps, you couldn't tell I was in the Marine Corps because, like, I had like almost 3 inches, which is like the length of you can have in the Marine Corps.
That's pretty much max right there.
That 3 inches is max, and I had like 2.5. Like, people pulled out rulers and were like, "How long's your hair?"
I've seen that.
We used to do that.
And that's the type of person I was, because like, I'm in the Marine Corps, I'm doing my job, but I don't like to I don't flash it around, And so that's what I was like, "Hey, look, you can take the attention from both of us, but you need to fix yourself." And he got all uppity, and I was like, "Look, you want to fight? We could fight. Like, I'm doing this the nice way.
We can do this Marine Corps style.
Absolutely. I'm approaching you, as military to military. But if you want to fucking rumble, let's do this shit, And so we kind of hashed it out, and I was like, like, if you'd like some pointers or some help, I can help you out, But, like,
well, see, there's a lady, and I feel bad, but her brother was killed in action.
Oh, yeah.
But she uses that
to
get free, and there's no respect, and she talks about it openly in front of me, and I'm like, yeah. And it got to a point, my wife's like, "You need to leave," and I say, "No, she needs to leave. This is bull."
Yeah, absolutely.
I understand it was her brother. Yeah, I feel bad. I feel bad for any military member that has passed on or lost their life.
Absolutely.
Because we don't get the recognition, and none of us really want it.
Right.
But for somebody else to jump on that bandwagon, so I was just like, so one of the nicest things is transferring with my company up here. Mm-hmm. It got me away from that, so I don't have to see it and I don't have to hear it. Because
fuck that lady.
No,
I don't know her, but fuck that lady.
Yeah,
So is that what you transitioned from? You went from car salesman to...
So actually, I went from car salesman into cable.
Okay.
I enjoyed being in car sales, but I didn't love it. I actually was a safety manager for a company, but they shut their doors in St. George, offered me a position in Statesboro, Georgia. Nice. And my middle daughter at the time was a senior in high school. And I said, "Guys, I did this all my life in the military. I don't have to do it as a civilian.
Right.
Peace out. Thanks for the opportunity." Yeah, right. And I got on with this company, and the company I work for now is phenomenal. I mean, I would say over 50% of our workforce is vets.
Okay. What company is that?
I work for TDS.
Okay.
So it's an internet, phone, and cable company. So
awesome.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, we even have our own Patriots group that we find ways to help out and go to.
I know what I'm talking to after I'm done being a quartermaster.
I was just
So
say, are you guys hiring?
Right. Actually, because we're brand new into the Treasure Valley, we really are.
Well, we'll talk about that after the podcast.
Get a card from this guy.
They go to job fairs, and we actually go to the bases, and we talk to the military, because when I left Idaho, I knew military was. Everybody loved the military. It was a pride thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, I went to a bar looking for directions, wearing my uniform. They're like, "Oh, we'll buy you a drink." And I'm like, "I'm not 21." They're like, "We don't care."
Right. Yeah, we didn't hear that. Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's not the same thing anymore.
Yeah.
But so that was, to me, coming on with this company was fantastic. And
yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool,
awesome.
man.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. So with all that it was a great story, by the way. I enjoyed hearing. We love hearing everybody's veteran stories. That's why we love doing this. So if you could like put one thing out there, that if you want to say something about something in your career or something,
one piece of advice. If
Yeah.
you could give one piece of advice personally from your career, what would it be? To not necessarily just,
it could be anybody. It doesn't
not necessarily just seamen,
right?
but I mean to military in general. Like if you were like, this is piece of advice from you after your 20 years, it would be.
My advice would be, take advantage of everything offered to you.
Absolutely.
You get education, you get tuition assistance before your GI Bill while you're in. Take advantage of it.
Mm-hmm.
If they tell you to go to this school, go to that school. Get that training because it does convert over. Don't rely strictly on your GI Bill. We all know our tuitions are going skyrocketing. GI Bill's only for so long. I got lucky enough. I got GI Bill and post 9/11.
Right.
Take advantage of all of that education that you can get while there. I mean, you're on deployments. You're not doing a lot. So get up off your butt from the cot.
Yeah, he doesn't do a lot. I'm like, man, I'm like sitting there, man, give me that math book.
Like what deployments are you going on?
Right. Well, he's different.
Absolutely.
Thing.
Yeah,
you gotta look at the brochure, man.
Yeah. Because exactly. And please, if you also go to your recruiter and he says, "Join the Navy, you'll see the world." The world is 78% water. That's all you're gonna see.
Yeah, that's true. True statement.
I mean, if blue's your favorite color,
Yeah, right.
and don't believe the movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, you know what? That is a good piece of advice because
absolutely
movies are horrible, man. They do not definitely project us correctly, and that's why we have to do this.
Absolutely no.
So
they don't.
Movies and TV shows.
That's awesome. Hey, I'll also add too. We did have a conversation about retiring. If you're over 10 years, finish your time. Man.
Yeah. Well, and seeing also because at the same time, I told you when I met you.
Yeah.
So early 90s.
He brought me donuts, man. That's how I met him.
Early 90s.
Some donuts.
You're good too, man.
You should have been at the VFW at that day.
You brought some amazing donuts. I didn't know where you got them from, but they were amazing.
So Charlie Sheen came out was in a movie, Navy SEALs, where they were crazy, jumped off the Coronado Bay Bridge, and I said, I'm joining the Navy, that's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Let me throw this out there. My father was actually in that movie.
Right. We talked about that. My stepbrother was in it as well. But so I thought that's what I was going to do.
That's right. We did talk about that.
And I actually have my T-shirt from my time when I went to become a Navy SEAL. I do not say I am. I did not earn the trident. I will not ever say I was.
Right.
But I did try it out. And
it's just not.
There's a reason those guys jump off a Coronado. Yeah. Well, I had hypothermia.
Well, realistically, people jumping off Coronado Bridge are probably going to die. I mean, realistically,
unless you're a Navy SEAL.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
in
only
a movie.
that movie. Yes, in the movie is the only way that works. By the way, so.
Yeah, it's just like I watched a movie the other day. Normal Glock 19, the guy shot like 20 rounds.
Oh, yeah, right?
Glocks don't come standard with 20 rounds?
They do with an extended mag. The thing only sticks down.
Yeah, it sticks down, but I mean, when you're looking at the TV show and it's at the end of the...
Well, and that's kind of why... like when I said Jarhead's one of my favorite, because it's very realistic. Like it's Hollywood to a certain extent.
Well, it is Hollywood.
It is Hollywood, but like
when you're written by a Marine,
when you're on a deployment, like it sucks just like that. Like they show the sucky part, but my favorite and the closest one I've ever seen is Generation Kill.
Yeah, that was actually probably the best series
it's an HBO series. It's about the Marines when the first recon when they go into Fallujah.
Well, that was a good one too, and so is what was the one with the Pacific? They actually did pretty good on that one. Well, I mean, because it talked about all the Medal of Honor guys and all that stuff.
Well, I mean, the Pacific is a spin-off of the Flags of Iwo Jima. It's it's just the other side, but I like Flags of Iwo Jima way better than the Pacific. But
I'm just saying in general. I mean, that kind of series actually, they're both pretty good.
There's a very underrated movie. It's called Battle for Haditha.
I think I saw it. I think it was on YouTube, wasn't it?
Oh. No, it's an actual movie. It's filmed, but it's like it shows the consequences of like being in that position when you're 18, 19 years old, and you're like, you get your SOP, and you end up blowing up, a building, and then there's little kids and women and stuff in there, and then it shows like the psychological the progression of it, and then like people throwing other people under the bus, and then now you're getting in trouble for murder.
Oh, I
you
know,
know, like
yeah.
see, it's based on true events. But
Wow.
I'm just saying, like, that's a good movie. Check it out if you've never seen it. Yeah.
Well, and see, and that's the thing too, because if you look at it, and people don't understand, we're doing what we're told to do. We're doing what we think is best. At the same time, we're dotting our I's, crossing our T's, and this and that. But we're not enjoying it. So it's not something, when we find out there is women or children in there, it's not something we're like, oh yeah, I just scored me another one.
It's right.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we got off topic, but
no big deal.
It always
Hey,
happens.
so
It always happens.
So 20 years, Scott. So yes, we want to thank Scott McDonald for coming in today.
Well, thank you
talking to
guys.
us,
Right, yeah.
sharing that 20-year Navy history with us.
Yeah,
you know, his career. Definitely, if you can, please definitely give us a watch. And if you like this, go ahead and give us a like on, the Veterans OP channel. And, we'll hopefully have some more stories for you. And we want to definitely thank Scott for coming in.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a Facebook as well, facebook.com/veteransop. It's the same thing as this. You just search it up, and then twitch.tv/VOP Gaming, myself. And we're trying to work it out so Rob and I can stream and play games at the same time. But if you do, you'll see
We'll get there.
my ugly mug on there.
Right
here. Sorry, there's something on the camera, so I can't see my own face. So I was like,
Yeah.
I've been out of frame the entire podcast.
No, you're in. It just has a little
I
square
just
in
can't
there.
see because that little. Anyway, sorry. Off topic.
No one wants to see his face anyway. We're
Absolutely
good.
not.
So.
But yeah, appreciate you stopping by, and it's always a kind of a pleasure, I guess, hanging out.
All right, and we'll see everybody next time.
Yeah, and I thank you guys for the invite. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for coming in.
All right, awesome.